Hey, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Blue and Gold Launchpad. I am Kyle W., your host tonight and engineer producer. And tonight I have Dan Rocketman Savage.
Howdy, everybody.
And Pat PJ Spiller.
PJ Spiller on the scene.
Well, I think Dan's on the scene from what it looks like here.
Yeah.
Where are you at right now, Dan?
I am at Fusion Bistro in Cricket West. I'm actually in the parking lot. I wanted to go live from in there, but there was audio complications as the place started to actually fill up here on a Wednesday evening. But tomorrow at about 5:30, 30 minutes after the first game in our tournament in Bloomington, Indiana, where the Rockets will play Indiana, the Rockets face off against the Indiana Hoosiers. So we'll be here on ESPN Plus. They're going to have a TV set up for us. So come on over to Fusion and have yourself a drink. They've got great pizza, good food there, and just a nice little area to get a conglomerate of Toledo fans to watch our Rocket volleyballers in our first NCAA tournament ever.
Awesome. So, I remember going a few years ago, Pat, with the family for an event. I think it was like a birthday party or something, but the food was excellent. And they had a great wine selection, great drinks. So definitely get down in there and get some good food and watch the game. But so before we kick off for our basketball and volleyball updates, I thought we would do one more bowl projection segment because more than likely we'll do a full episode after we find out where Toledo's playing. But let's just see what the experts are thinking after all these games are wrapped up for regular season. And to start it off here, I have USA Today. They're saying Arizona Snoop Dogg Bowl, which basically is what we've been saying all year. And they have them against UNLV, which I actually think would be a pretty cool matchup. Last year, if anybody remembers, Miami of Ohio played in it, and they beat Colorado State 43-17. You're going to see a theme through these bowls, and most of you know that a lot of these bowl games are the teams are picked based on certain conferences every year. So you're going to see, basically MAC in every single one of these bowls that Toledo's projected in. But it's good to see the comparison from last year. So ESPN, they had actually two analysts with picks. The first one had Idaho Potato Bowl, another one we've been saying all year. And they have them against San Diego State. The interesting thing is the other analysts also picked San Diego State to be in this bowl. So they pretty much think it's a lock for San Diego State. But they potentially see possibly Ohio playing San Diego State in the Potato Bowl. So the other analyst thinks whoever gets that spot for the MAC will play the other bowl at the Arizona Bowl. And they have them playing against Fresno State, which is also a lock for them. So if you remember last year for the Potato Bowl, NIU played. They beat Fresno State 28-20. It's a little bit closer game. I found a couple sources because most were pretty much stuck in the Arizona and Idaho Potato Bowl, which is probably a high percentage of happening. But the Athletic has Toledo in the Salute to Veterans Bowl and Crampton Bowl in Montgomery. They have them playing Southern Miss. Last year, 2024, South Alabama beat Central Michigan 30-27. Pretty close game. The last one I found was Athlon Sports has them in the Cure Bowl at the Camping World Stadium in Orlando. They would play Old Dominion. And last year, Ohio beat Jacksonville State in a close one, 30-27. So, I'm sure I didn't check through all the predictions for the other MAC teams, but I'm sure we're going to see repeats of MAC schools basically filling in these bowls, and hopefully they have another winning record against these other teams.
No, it's tough because as a bowl projector, the national media kind of doesn't care about rematches. They don't look into it that hard. Like sometimes I'll see it and be like, yeah, they played each other in September. They're not going to play each other again. They don't look into it that hard. For me, I kind of just look at it as the team that played in the exact same bowl last year probably doesn't have that good of a chance to play in the exact same bowl this year. So when you mention something like Boise, like who was in the Boise Bowl last year for the MAC, I'm going to tend to think that they're probably not going to be back again.
Well, it's NIU, which, yeah.
Right. That'd just be an example. But in 2022 and 2023, Bowling Green went back-to-back and played in Detroit. So it does happen. For Toledo, I would say we're probably due for Idaho. I'm sure they would like to have Toledo or among the best traveling fan bases. And for the MAC, that's a league that does have 7 or 8 contingent spots in bowl games. We only have 5 bowl eligible teams this year. So there's going to be teams that kind of get shopped around, and we're going to see the best of the best wherever we go. As a Rockets fan, Southern Miss has kind of had a bad last month of the year. I want to play a team with some pedigree because I want to have our guys not opt out. I want to, win this big game that we're going to have on the horizon. But at the end of the day, just a little bit frustrated we did not make it back to Detroit. Even though we'll get into that in the next podcast, but man, this Toledo team is one of the better ones I've seen, and it sucks that we're not playing up there for the MAC championship.
Yeah, and I think most fans would agree the better part of this year has been the defense. And I hate to say it, but in my opinion, I think regardless, McNeil Warren probably won't play. And I don't blame him one bit. He's got a bright future in front of him with the NFL, get ready for the combine, go out there, cheer your teammates. But from what we've seen from the other DBs this year, I'm not too worried. They're still locked down. He'll be greatly missed, but I think they can still handle business. So I just wanted to do this real quick. But Pat, you had something?
I was just taking a look at it from the team's side of view. I think it would be great to go down and play in Arizona again, even though it's now the Snoop Dogg Bowl rather than the Barstool Bowl in Arizona, or in Orlando at Camping World. That's a bigger stadium, nice place to play. But I mean, we'll see with it coming up. Who knows? We could end up in Boca Raton, at the Boca Bowl.
Exactly.
Quite possible.
All kinds of options.
Yeah, we'll definitely dive into whoever we match up with next week on a full episode and get you guys the details for that. But just kind of finish off the season. We've been doing this all year with Texas Rockets, so put a cherry on top with our prediction segment, and we'll see what happens. But at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dan. We're going to, get some updates going for men and women's basketball and our volleyball team.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. And for us as a podcast, the next 2 episodes that are football focused will be our bowl projections as well as our season recap. And those generally do pretty well for us. So if you guys want to share those, please do. We're trying to hit our high water marks on socials since we've been starting. We're about, I think, 20 or 30 away on X from hitting 500 followers, which doesn't seem like a lot, but we've only been pushing socials for like a year and a half. We only follow one team, so that's really big for us. And then also on YouTube, which we've only been pushing, I don't know, maybe 6 months.
I would say just basically preseason football.
Yeah, exactly. And we're close to 100 followers. And, you hit that little bell, and it just tells you every time that there's a podcast. That helps us out a lot. So, like we said, this is just a little refuel, but we've got 2 of our bigger podcasts of the year coming up. So it really means a lot to all of our followers and friends of the show. Just share it, and heck, maybe you'll be on a plane flight to our bowl destination and you need something to listen to. We'll be right there for you.
Yeah, and hopefully we're getting Coach Fleming on, the wide receivers coach, before the bowl game to give a little season recap and what to expect in the future. So we're efforting that right now, and that will be one to tune into for sure.
Awesome. And then really we'll dive into volleyball just a second. We're playing Indiana. This team's never done this. Incredible story from first-year coach Brian Wright. Obviously, if you can make it down to IU, please go and check out the volleyballers. This podcast is probably only going to come out the morning of when you guys are traveling, but we do appreciate this volleyball team. It's been a heck of a year. And as far as my expectations, just take them the long distance. And if you can win a set, that'd be incredible. It's really tough for mid-majors to win in the landscape of volleyball. I think the Big Ten had 9 different teams make it. So we're playing a really good team in Indiana, and we're just excited as Rockets fans to be able to come together and have one more game to watch as a community. So go Rocket Volleyballers.
Yeah, absolutely. Just taking a quick look at that matchup, Indiana has not a traditional Big Ten lineup height-wise, so they match up with us pretty well as far as height goes. But looking at their season, they've knocked off some big teams in the Big Ten and their preseason. They've beaten Iowa, they've beaten Illinois, they lost to Nebraska and Penn State. They split with Penn State. And Penn State, for them to knock off Penn State is a big get for them. I think, like you said, Dan, just get down there and support the team. It's the first time around, and no one expected this going into the season. A first-year coach, a lot of transfers, a lot of young players, and we've got 3 All-MAC players, Defensive Player of the Year, so they're fun to watch. If you can't get down there, be sure to tune in to ESPN+.
1,000%. Now on to basketball, which we haven't touched too much on this year, I would say. And as the month basically goes by, we'll be back into our game predictions and players of the game. But it's a lot for us to cover in about a 45-minute time span. But right now is a week where we can kind of dive into basketball a little bit. The Rockets came off of a tournament championship loss down in Fort Myers to Belmont. And Belmont's undefeated, folks. And they have one of the best three-point shooters in the country. And Toledo played them very tough for one half, maybe even 3/4 of the game. And then Belmont got hot. We were down by 6 heading into half. We ended up giving up 58.3% from the field, kind of what we've mentioned on this show before about the defense not playing great. Belmont handed us a lot of free turnovers, which we took advantage of for a while, but then just fell too far behind. 50% from the 3-point we gave up. Like I said, the best 3-point shooter in the country got hot. What are you going to do? That's a great team in Belmont, probably one we're going to see in March Madness, so you can't take too much from that game. Also, pretty much dominated on the rebounds, on the boards. But when you shoot a lot of threes, you get a lot of long rebounds, and checking out in the post maybe doesn't help you as much as you'd want it to. So tough loss in that tournament championship game. Still proud that we knocked off Troy in the first game of that tournament. And then we came back and played Division II Central State on Monday evening. And Central State was led by St. Francis High School head coach of 8 previous years. And this is his second year at Central State, the Marauders. He seems like he's got a good philosophy there. According to the ESPN3 or ESPN Plus broadcasts, if they don't get a shot in the first 6 seconds of the shot clock, then they set up their offense. And a couple times they cherry-picked on us early in the game, and they threw it long court and got easy buckets. But for the most part, Toledo played very good defense. We absolutely crushed them inside. Austin Parks, career high, 27 points. Prater off the bench in the last about 10 minutes of the game, 12 points, 12 rebounds. We were just, every rebound that was near the glass, we were basically putting it back up for a dunk. So to beat a team, I think it was 102-58. This Central State team just came off of a loss to Duquesne, 101-80. So although it's a Division II team, pretty good effort there from the men's basketballers.
Yeah, for sure. And it was nice to see Parks come into his own and get that career high. I think it'll do wonders to boost his confidence in his gameplay inside. And it was nice to see him last night at the women's game along with a couple of other players on the team supporting the women's team. So it was really nice, to see even though there wasn't a ton of students there last night, the team supporting each other, which takes us into the women's team.
Yeah, right before we get to the women's, the men play at Oakland at 3 p.m. on Saturday. If you can head up there, maybe it was a day that you had off because you thought that maybe the football team would get to the MAC championship in Detroit. Oakland's not too far from Ford Field, so that's a big game. But as we'll get into, the ladies do play at home at Savage at 2 o'clock against Northern Iowa. But the ladies had an off week basically, and they came back home against, as Pat called it in our early Morgan State preview for football, one of Towson's old rivals, the Morgan State Bears, who Patricia Anugba played for Towson the last few years. So exactly. I thought she was going to come in with a little chip on her shoulder, and she had a pretty good game. But the story of that game was Kendall Carruthers, 27 points. I mean, Pat, how did you look there from the third row as you were watching us play?
She looked incredible. She was on, and honestly, we were right behind the bench, and Coach Bogus just kept looking at her and saying, "Do what you do. We need you. Do what you do," and she did. It was also nice to see Carrier, the transfer from IU Indy, have a nice first half. Actually, really nice first quarter. If she could have extrapolated that out into the whole game, she would have ended up with 26, 28 points as well, and a ton of rebounds. It was nice to see them, take out a Morgan State team that was 1-8 coming in. They had lost to a lot of teams this year by a lot bigger margins, but like Coach Bogus said after the game, they're a scrappy team. They're coming together, and it was a nice little, I guess you could say, a nice tune-up, heading into the MAC season.
Evan Carrier is the Western Michigan transfer. Alexa Hosevar is the IU Indy gal.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's all right. Evan Carrier, so she banked in a 3 in the first quarter. So she leads the team in 3-point percentage, 1 for 1 on the year. But the IU Indy transfer, Alexa Hosevar, is 4 for 10. She's second on the team at 40%, obviously.
Not bad for 6'1" guard.
No, not at all. And she really does fire it up. And I like this women's team because the men against Central State played the entire bench too. Honestly, if you look at the men's team, everybody scored that played, which was incredible to see from a Kowalczyk team. That's pretty rare.
Yeah, very rare.
The women's teams they're getting good minutes from everybody. We got to see Kendall Braden on the floor for the first time. Finally. And like you said, this Morgan State team didn't have a good record. They were a little bit overmatched, but their guard that chose to guard Kendall Carruthers was in her jockstrap the entire game, and Kendall didn't let it phase her. Now, she did get a technical, I guess, for saying something maybe after a layup. I'm not sure.
But she had some words, yeah.
Yeah, I would have some words, too. The girl face guarded her up the court the entire game.
Right.
This women's team's got the pieces. They just got to hit more shots.
Exactly. In seeing Evelise Cole, she was firing up threes from everywhere, but she could not hit to save her life.
No.
And it's got to be frustrating.
No, I think she's like 3 of 19 on the year from 3. Kendall's 6 of 26. So these are under sub 30% averages. I assume it will grow as the season goes on, but we do have a player off the bench in Hosevar that can fire it up, and I'm still optimistic. But this Northern Iowa team that's coming in has played a tough schedule. They've knocked off Creighton by 1 point. They were in the WBIT last year and lost to Florida. So this is a very good team with the winning pedigree. It's going to be a big night at Savage Arena, or big afternoon, I should say, and it's a midnight blue out. So if you gotta head to Savage Arena, watch the ladies. You can put the radio on in your earbud for the men's game that tips off at 3 against Oakland, and just have a good time. Pat, we mentioned, I guess Ryan mentioned it last week. It was Wicked Night.
Yeah.
Yesterday at Savage Arena for the ladies. So that was a fun little wrinkle in the home crowd. I think the cold and the weather may have kept some fans away, but still nearly 4,000 in attendance, and the home crowd was what got us over the edge. So let's keep that going before we head into MAC play.
Yeah, absolutely. After the game, Coach Bogus said, hey, it's a random Tuesday night. It's windy and blustery and snowy out, and we still drew almost 4,000. So, keeping up that great attendance record we have, even though it was a Wicked Night, the princesses, when we got there, were eating some hot dogs and crumble cookies. So, it was really nice to see all the players involved too with the singing of the Wicked song. And if you got a chance on Saturday, like Dan said, get out to Savage and support the ladies. They're coming together. They're going to start kicking butt, and I think they're in a good place, as we get closer to the MAC season.
Yep, and a little bit down the line, the ladies play at Ohio State here in a couple weeks. The men go to Michigan State, so we're gonna have some big tests on our hands to really prove, that we deserve to be near the top of the pack as far as conference standings goes in the rest of the year. And looking at the MAC men, it's actually a pretty damn good year. We've got 4 teams in the mid-major top 25. Ball State on the ladies' side is 5th in the mid-major ranks. So, unlike most years, it's going to be a pretty tough season for the men and the women as far as the conference play goes, as long as, we keep injuries at bay. But that's good as hell for a conference. Can't wait. This is a fun little week to just dial in on basketball before football ramps up for one more time here in 2025.
And don't forget the volleyball team as well.
Absolutely. Go volleyballers.
All right, guys. Well, anybody that started listening to us this fall, just know that we do these rocket refills every other week in between our main episodes through basketball season, just to try to keep the fans up to date with the crazy schedule, even crazier than Tuesday night MAC games. We just try to keep our finger on the pulse. So expect to see more rocket refills through the season, and more than likely it's us 3 holding it down for these types of episodes. So last thing, TOL.
Yo.